The fall of the knights. How new weapons changed medieval warfare. Once upon a time, the knights were the undisputed kings of the battlefield. Clad in shining armor and riding powerful war horses, they were seen as the elite force of medieval armies. These knights came mostly from noble families, trained rigorously in the arts of combat, and equipped with the finest weapons of their time. With their strength and skill, they played pivotal roles in determining the outcomes of battles, often deciding the fate of entire kingdoms. But as history progressed, everything changed. The rise of new weapons shifted the balance of power, and the once mighty knights began to fall from grace. These new weapons were more effective than the traditional knightly methods of fighting on horseback with swords. Let's explore how these innovations reshaped medieval warfare and spelled the end of the knightly dominance. The crossbow, a game changer. One of the first weapons that began to undermine the knights' dominance was the crossbow. The crossbow was a simple yet deadly weapon, consisting of a horizontal bow mounted on a stock. Unlike the traditional longbow, it required less skill to use, and with a few hours of training, a common soldier could wield it effectively. The crossbow was a game changer for the common folk. Knights, who had always looked down upon this weapon, thinking it dishonorable and beneath them, soon realized its potential on the battlefield. Fired with incredible power, the crossbow could pierce even the heaviest armor at a distance. What made it so effective was its ease of use. Anyone could load and fire it without requiring years of training. In fact, in some cases, it was used to take down knights from distances that were once considered safe. The crossbow became a weapon of choice for European armies, especially during the 100 Years' War between England and France, where it played a decisive role in key battles. The longbow, a British Revolution. Next, we have the legendary longbow. The English longbow, made of yew wood, became the backbone of the English army during the medieval period. At over 6 feet long, it was a formidable weapon, capable of shooting arrows with enough force to pierce the armor of knights. The longbow required strength and training to master, but once the archers had gained proficiency, their ability to fire volleys of arrows at long range made them a devastating force on the battlefield. During the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, English archers, armed with longbows, decimated the French cavalry, showing the world the power of archery. The longbow's effectiveness in large numbers, combined with its ability to strike from a distance, rendered the knights' cavalry charges obsolete. The knights, once the rulers of the battlefield, could no longer charge into battle with the same fearlessness as before. The pike, the end of the cavalry charge, as knights faced the growing threat of ranged weapons like crossbows and longbows. They were also confronted with the pike, a long, spear-like weapon. The pike was designed to counter cavalry, especially knights on horseback. It allowed foot soldiers to form tight formations, with the pointed ends of the pikes facing outward. This strategy was revolutionary, as it created a wall of sharp points that was nearly impossible for cavalry to break through. Soldiers with pikes could easily stop a charging knight, even one wearing full armor. The most famous example of pike formations in action was during the Wars of the Swiss. He used the pike to defeat the heavily armored knights of the Holy Roman Empire in the 14th century. The pike proved to be a game changer. The once dominant cavalry of knights could no longer charge with impunity. They had to rethink their strategies, as pike formations made traditional cavalry tactics obsolete. Gunpowder. The final blow. The final blow to the knights came with the invention and spread of gunpowder. Originally developed in China during the 9th century, gunpowder soon found its way to Europe. By the 14th century, Europeans had started to use gunpowder in firearms and cannons. These new weapons, particularly firearms and cannons, rendered the heavy armor of knights useless. A gunshot could pierce through plate armor with ease, and cannons could obliterate entire sections of a fortress with a single shot. Gunpowder weapons like hand cannons and muskets began to dominate the battlefield. Knights, no matter how well-armed or skilled, could not withstand the sheer firepower of these new inventions. The sight of a knight on horseback charging into battle was no longer a symbol of invincibility. Instead, it became a futile attempt to hold on to the past. The end of the Age of Knights. By the 16th century, gunpowder weapons, particularly cannons, had changed the face of warfare forever. Castles and fortresses, once considered impenetrable, could be reduced to rubble by artillery. The role of knights shifted dramatically. What was once a symbol of power and elite status was now a relic of the past. No longer could knights claim the battlefield as their domain. They were replaced by armies armed with firearms, cannons, and other new technologies that changed the very nature of warfare. While knights still had a role in ceremonial settings, their days of dominating the battlefield were over. Conclusion: the story of the knights is one of glory and downfall. Once the masters of warfare, they were ultimately undone by the very innovations they scorned. The crossbow, the longbow, the pike, and, finally, gunpowder, all played their part in toppling the knightly order. These new weapons revolutionized warfare and ushered in a new era of conflict, one where the knights' traditional methods could no longer compete. The fall of the knights is a testament to the relentless march of technology and the ever-changing nature of war.